Hey everyone, it's Kathy and you're back here on my YouTube channel, Kathy's Random Acts of Stamping. If you have been watching my channel and you have not yet subscribed, I encourage you to please do so. That helps me grow my channel. It helps me bring better videos to all of you, and I would just love to have you be part of our little crafty family here at Kathy's Random Acts of Stamping. As many of you know, I am a independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I'm located here in the beautiful state of North Carolina. But if you're not currently working with a demonstrator, I would love the opportunity to earn your business and be your friend, your mentor. And I'll always be here and be available if you need me for any reason. I'm only an email, a phone call, or a text away. And all that information is always listed under my video. So if you need to reach out and get in touch with me, you can do so there. Really quick before we start our project, we have a new host code. So when you get ready to check out, you'll see a place that says host code. And if you will type in this right here, VN3HTFSH, no matter what the size of the purchase is, if you will use this host code when you check out, you will receive a free gift from me. So think about that, and it's a good way to earn some free product, and also it helps me grow my channel. So thanks so much. Today we are going to talk about slimlines. Now there is a lot of people doing slimlines. They have really caught on recently, and everybody does slimlines. There's always some confusion on what the proper size of a slimline is. I know I struggled with that. So I looked up, and a standard slimline card is 7 by 8.5, scored on the 7-inch side at 3.5. Now I also did the math on what your mat would be, and I wrote that down here, 3.25 by 8.25. So I just took it down 1/4 of an inch. That will give you that 1/8 inch border all the way around, and I'm going to show you that in just a minute. Also, there are mini slimlines, and a mini slimline is just a smaller version of the slimline. It's the same width. It's absolutely the same width, but you're going to change the length of your card or the width of your card depending on whether you're doing a landscape or portrait. So, but it's still the same no matter which way you want to turn it. I mean, you can always flip your card up, or you can turn it and do a side card. But the measurements for that one is 6 by 7, and you want to score on the 7-inch side at 3.5. Same thing. The only difference is instead of it being 8.5, it's 6 inches. So you still are going to score at 3.5, and then your mat's going to be 3.25 by 5 3/4. So these are your standards. So if you want to take a screenshot of these, or if you want to cut your own and put them in your template folder or box, or however you keep your templates, this is a great way to do that and have these guidelines all the time for your cards. The other thing, I want to show you what we're going to do today. We're going to actually cut a slimline card. And here is a mat for a mini. And here is a mat. Now this mat is a little bit smaller because I have an idea in mind for this. But I'm going to use some of this beautiful designer series paper called On the Horizon. And I need to check and see if that's back in stock. I know it's sold out immediately, but can you see how beautiful these cards are going to be by using this paper? But I also want to show you, before we go any further, I want to show you the die set and the stamps that Stampin' Up! Came out with. Let me zoom y'all out just a tiny bit so you can see everything. These are the dies and the stamp set for the Slim Saying and Slimline dies. These dies are gorgeous, and they will add such an impact to your card. So let me pull these out, and we're going to work with these today as well. And I'm going to show you what they look like when you cut them. They are simply gorgeous. Get that down in there. You have a chevron pattern, and then you have this beautiful, something tells me that this is like the Greek keyhole pattern. I'm not sure. If anybody knows what that pattern is, please leave me a comment and let me know. But it looks like, I don't know, it's just very, very, very beautiful. And I did cut a piece of that, and I want to show you how pretty it is. I'm going to bring this one over, and I'm going to actually turn this card over so we don't see that writing on that side. And I want to show you, this is what it cuts out. Is that not stunning? Absolutely gorgeous. And can you see a card like this, and then you could actually stamp and die cut your sentiment and put over top of it. What a beautiful card, and a quick card. I mean, this would take no more time than it would take to lay this die on a piece of cardstock, run it through your die cut machine. But we also have these little ditties, and these I think would be beautiful on envelopes or the edge of your card. And this is what that one looks like when it's cut. That's this one here. And if you notice over here on our chevron, here is our chevron pattern, and I've just cut a piece of purple cardstock that would lay against, just to show you that beautiful cut. And you could use it either up or down. Usually I think of the chevron going down. But here is this die cut, and I think that one is equally gorgeous. Now you could just cut this alone and make a slimline card and use that as your bordered edge, and it would be gorgeous. So those are some options that they gave us. Stampin' Up! Finally jumped on that bandwagon, and I was so glad they did, to give us some beautiful dies and some beautiful big sayings that we can use on our cards. These are nice large dies, sentiments, and I love the fact that we have a happy birthday that is big enough to go across the bottom of a card like that. So that's always a plus anytime you have some big sayings, and these slimline sayings definitely fit the bill for that. So if you haven't seen this in the catalog, take a look. It is actually in our mini catalog, and it is over on page, let's see, Slimline. I'm looking for it in here so I can show you what page it's on, in case you have this catalog. If you don't have a catalog and you've been watching my videos and you're interested in purchasing or placing an order, please let me know, and I'll be more than happy to send you a set of catalogs. Now our annual catalog is getting ready to change, so if you want, when I say getting ready, the new one won't come out until May. But if you are interested in getting that catalog, you really don't want the old one, you want to wait for the new one, send me an email and I'll put you on the mailing list, and then you will get one when this catalog goes live. So that is a great way to get your catalogs. It's just, and anybody that's made a purchase in my online store automatically will be in the mailing list. So if you've made a purchase in the last 6 months, you will automatically be in the mailing for the catalog. So just wanted to let you know that. Slimline Dies is on page 52. And there we go. This is the Slimline Saying bundle. You get the 4 dies and the stamp set. Now it is pricey, and I'll tell you why, because it's a big die. Anytime, the larger the dies, the bigger. And I also want to show you another gem that people are missing, and that is they came out with slimline envelopes. And this is what our slimline envelopes look like. They come in 3 colors: the soft succulent, the smoky slate. Let's see if I can get one of each out, and then our basic white. I'll pull one of these out. There you go. They are all lined, beautifully lined. Don't you love that? You get 15 in a pack, and they are $10. And I mean, you would probably spend $10 in paper if you made your own and lined them. They're already done, they're already put together, they're beautifully done. I do love these envelopes. But if you're one of those people that like to make your own, we're going to be doing tutorials on that as well. But if you're in a hurry and you want to just grab a quick envelope, that is the way to go. But anyway, we are going to be centering in on these dies and these beautiful cards that we're going to make. But before we start, I want to bring in this is a piece of Blackberry Bliss. This is the On the Horizon, or New Horizons paper. And what I did is I chose a scene. Let's see if I can find that one again. I think it's this one right here. And what I did is I cut that down. I cut a piece off of here, and I cut a little piece off of the no, I just cut the bottom. Yeah. And then I cut it down on this side to be the mat that I need. What I did here is I cut a mat that is 3 1/4 by 5 3/4, and then I cut this at 5 1/2 by 3 inches. Let me make sure I got that right. Yes. So this is 3 by 5 1/2. And I think this is going to make such a beautiful statement on the front of this card. Now we're going to do some stamping. So I pulled in my On the Horizon set. Love the stamp set. It's very subtle, but I think it's absolutely stunning. So what I wanted to do, I grabbed a Blackberry Bliss ink, and we're going to do some stamping. And this paper really makes it, this paper does the work for you. I'm going to zoom y'all in just a little bit so you can better see what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do, or what I want to do, is I want to stamp these trees right about here. So I want those trees right there in that background. So I'm going to ink up my trees. And I'm looking to make sure that my trees are fully inked, and they are. So I'm going to come down to right about here and stamp. Just like that. Now we have that grove of trees right there, which is exactly what I was looking for. Now I want to come in with an evening evergreen. And the reason I'm going to go evening evergreen is I want this grass to really show. So I'm going to go a little darker. And we are going to stamp our grass. And I'm going to come off of the page just a little bit. So about like this. And see, very subtle. And I'm going to stamp again right here, second generation, just to give a little fill in. And I'm going to come right here. I'm going to stamp off, and then a little bit more right here. And that's all I'm going to do to that piece. And you can see that just that tiny bit that we've done adds so much to that stamp, to that piece of paper. And like I said, you don't have to do a lot with this because the paper is basically doing the work for you. So I do have my birds, and I had in my last video where I used these birds, I was really sick when I was doing those videos. I really should have been in bed. I stamped my birds upside down. I don't know if anybody else noticed it, but I went back after Marlene, she was the one that asked me, are those birds upside down? And I went back and looked, and I was like, oh my goodness. Marlene, I had to laugh at myself, but I do appreciate you letting me know that I I stamped those birds upside down. I had no idea. So if anybody gets that card, I hope they don't notice that I stamped my birds upside down. Maybe I'll send that one to Marlene. I love you, girlfriend. You know I do. Anyway, I'm going to grab a, what color do I want to do my birds in? I think I'm going to do Night of Navy. The reason I think I want to do that, I want them to be dark, but I don't want them to be the Blackberry Bliss. So I'm going to take Night of Navy, and I'm tapping my birds, and I want them to look like they're flying off the page just a little bit. Ah, love that. Now, can you see just how quick this card is coming together? I mean, bit bam boom, and we have got us a beautiful card, and I think it's absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to lay my stamps over here, and I want to put this on here, and I'm trying to decide if I want to put a sentiment up here, and I think I do, but I also want to cut a card base, and I think for this one I am going to grab Bumblebee. I'm seeing a little bit of Bumblebee right there. So let me grab a piece of Bumblebee. I'm going to lay this against this and see if that's what I like. I thought I would, but you know what? I really don't. I think we need something a little softer than that. Let's try, oh yeah, isn't that gorgeous? This is the Fresh Freesia. This is exactly what I'm wanting. That with that Blackberry Bliss is gorgeous. So we need to cut a slimline card. So now I get to show you how I do that. And it's so simple, because all you want to do is cut a 6x7. So I am going to cut a 6. Oh, you know what? Let's do this first. I love that lip on my trimmer. Let me zoom y'all back out a little bit. See, my trimmer, when I leave my arm in, that gives me a place to hold that 6-inch to. So I'm going to slice that at 6, and then we're going to turn it and slice it down to 7. So just a 6x7 piece of cardstock. And while we've got it on the 7-inch side, we're going to score at 3.5. So bring it back over to 3.5. Bring that score blade down and score. I'm going to close my arm up and fold it over. Give it a good burnish. My bone folder so I can really and now this piece is ready for us to adhere our card to. So I want to go ahead and glue this piece down first, and I think I'm going to use some seal on the back of this. So I love the Stampin Seal Plus. It is my favorite. So I'm just going to put a little bit . It took me a while to embrace that Stampin' Seal. I have to admit, I had a little bit of trouble with it at the beginning, but I don't know if I learned how to use it or if they changed the formula, but I love it now. It works so well. So press that down just like that. And then we are ready to put this on here, and for a little added something, I'm going to pop this up on Dimensionals. And my Dimensionals are getting scarce over here. I might have to open a new one. I'm going to go ahead and cut some of these little pieces and use them. So all I'm doing is just cutting these down to smaller pieces that makes it manageable for me to use them. Nothing wrong with using these, the edges of your Stampin Dimensionals. I say get all the bang for your buck that you can. Our crafting supplies are not cheap, and I say use every bit of everything. So I think that, I don't know, I think I need a couple more pieces. So I'm going to take this one and put right here, and maybe that one right there. And the good thing is these backs come off of these just as easy as they do the regular pieces. I mean, it is the regular pieces. It's just we're just using up the scraps that's left over. So once we get these all off, then we'll be ready to adhere this down. And I'm going to open my card up just to help me make sure I'm getting everything lined up. And that looks really good. Love that. Now we do need a sentiment up here. And I was thinking about stamping just directly onto that, but now that I put it on dimensions, I can't very well stamp on it because I don't have a flat surface. So I am going to grab my favorite punch, one of my favorite punches, and that is my double oval. And I want to grab a piece of white, and I had a little scrap of white. There we go. And I'm going to stick this in right there, and I'm going to punch that out. And then I want a piece of that Blackberry Bliss, and I want to get the larger oval that has that beautiful little scallop on it, and we are going to stamp Don't you love that? Is that not gorgeous? And like I said, all we did was added a grove of trees, a little bit of grass down here, our birds flying overhead, and then we're going to put this up here. Right there. And we are going to say, breathe. I think that'll be beautiful on there. And again, I'm going to use that same Blackberry Bliss because I love it. I think it's so, so pretty. That's if I can find it. Blackberry Bliss. And we're going to need a small stamp block. And I like, and y'all see me do this many times, I like to line my stamps up on my grid. And if I get them straight on my block, I have a better chance of getting them straight on my my cardstock. So I'm going to lay this right here and tap, tap, tap. I'm going to stamp this off and make sure I like it, and I do. And that looks gorgeous. And I want to pop this up on the back. So again, I'm going to use some of my little dimensionals. And I think what I'm going to do is just take a few of these and snip them off. And that'll run all the way across the back of that, which is just what I wanted. And then we're going to just lay this down on here. There we go. Now I'm just going to use some regular glue, and I'm going to adhere this I like my glue because I can wiggle, and it gives me just a little bit of wiggle room so I can make sure I get that exactly like I want it. And then what we need to do is cut a mat for the inside. Now that mat size that I gave you here is going to be the same size you're going to need for the inside. So I'm going to grab a piece of white, and I think I can probably grab a scrap. I have quite a few scraps, large scraps of white, because we do use white a lot. So we're going to go to 3 1/4. To 5 3/4. And I think what I want to do, I think I want to stamp a little something over in one corner. And I think I'm going to go in with the Evening Evergreen. Trying to decide between Evening Evergreen and Soft Succulent. And I think this is going to win out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp it. I'm going to go full on. That's not bad. So we're going to go full on. Isn't that beautiful? And then I'm going to stamp right over to the side just a second. And see how pretty that looks? I love that. So soft. So now we're ready to find a sentiment of what we want to put in here. So we put breathe on the outside. So inside, either thinking of you, or relax and enjoy your day, or thanks for everything. I think we're going to do wishing you so much happiness. And I want to go right in the middle, right about there. And for the sentiment, I think I'm going to use my Momento Tuxedo Black. Yep, love that. Now I need to decide if I want to do the birds again. Do I want to do the birds up in that corner? I think I do. I'm just going to go in with the Tuxedo Black. Might stamp off. Yeah, let's stamp off once and then stamp. Yes. And see how just using that black, stamping it second generation, it gives a much lighter hue. I think that works out beautifully. So now we're ready to bring our card back over, and I'm going to use my Stampin Seal again. And it works better if you take the cap off of it. And then we're just going to bring this in and center it up and press it down. And that is a mini Slimline. Is that not the most adorable little card ever? Love, love, love it. And I am so in love with this paper. I think everybody has been. Alright, so now what we're going to do, we're going to make another card, but this time we're going to use the Slim Sayings dies. And since I already have this cut out, I am going to cut a white base. We're going to do a happy birthday card. We always need birthday cards, right? So let me, and here's my notes for my standard Slimline. It needs to be 7 by 8.5, so I'm going to grab a piece of black, just our basic black cardstock, and we are going to cut this down to 7 inches on the 11-inch side, keeping the 8.5 inch intact. So grab my paper trimmer, and we are going to go in at 7. And then we're on that 7-inch side, we're going to move it over to 3.5. Give it a good score. And we're going to burnish this down. Now I'm going to need a piece of white, and that's not big enough, so we're going to need a piece of white that is long enough, and this will do the trick. And we need this to be 3 1/4, and I believe this is already 8.5. Yep. So we're going to need to cut this down to 8 1/4. So I'm just going to take a 1/4 inch off right here. I know this is 8.5, so I'm going to trim that down right there. And then I'm going to cut this to 3 1/4. And now this piece should sit on here perfectly, and it does. And then that's going to go on the top of our black card base. Isn't that beautiful? So what I want to do first is I want to put some glue on the back of this. Now you're probably thinking, oh my word, that's going to be horrible to do. Not really. What we're going to do is we're going to put glue on these big dots first. Anywhere you have a big spot, throw some glue down. Just like that. And then we're going to take this and lay it onto our piece of white. And that was not hard at all. Look how nice and pretty that went down. Now if you want to come back so your edges aren't sticking up, what I would suggest to do is lift your edge and just come back under the edge like that, and do the same thing on the other end, working from the top to the middle. And then you want to turn that over, and you're going to do the same thing on the other side. This just helps you get to get it adhered. So I'm going to run some glue under this side about halfway and press it down. And then this would probably have been a good time for my silicone craft sheet, but it's okay. And press that down. Alright, and I did get glue on my work surface, so I am going to just going to tear that off and fold it because there's definitely glue on the inside. I'm still going to continue to work on this piece, but I don't have to worry about the glue now getting on the back of my card. Alright, so now that we have our piece, our designer piece down on our mat, we're ready to go ahead and adhere this. But I'm seeing a little bit of a hangover right there, and I don't want that. So I'm just going to take a pair of scissors, and I'm going to come along just like that and just trim that up. Easy peasy. And now we're ready to put this down onto our card. Isn't that gorgeous? So I'm going to use regular glue. We got a little bit of an overhang right there too. That's probably why it was overhanging there. But then this piece was probably the size to go on the card and not on a mat. So kind of keep that in mind when you're doing this. So I'm just going to put some glue all the way down this piece. And then I want to lay this down. Give it a nice press. Isn't that gorgeous? I love that. Now we're going to need another piece of cardstock to go inside, so we're going to grab another scrap. That's going to work perfectly. And we need to cut that down to 3 and 1/4. So 3 and 1/4. I can tell by looking at it that it's an 8.5, so I don't have to do anything there. So I've sliced that little bit off. And now this piece is ready to go inside. Oh, it's 3, you know what? We do need to trim this out. This is 3.5, and remember this needs a quarter of an inch taken off because it needs to be 8 1/4. There we go. But before we put that in, I want to do some stamping on the inside. And I think I'm going to stamp this big one that says "You are one of a kind." And I love that because it's a nice long sentiment. And of course we're going to do it with our Tuxedo black ink. So I'm going to grab my Momento and we are going to stamp, stamp, stamp. And you could very easily put a happy birthday under this if you wanted to make it a birthday card. Just grab a happy birthday from one of your other sets. And there's lots and lots of happy birthday. I love that. Isn't that gorgeous? So that's going to go in here. So we'll adhere that down. But before we go any further, I want to stamp You Really Are Fabulous. And I'm going to stamp that on this white right here. let's grab a stamp. I mean a stamp block, I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. And we are going to ink this one up as well. And we're going to stamp this right about here. Love it. Now we have a couple of options. Do we want to die cut this and put it on the front of our card, or do we want to I love that, and I think this is the Stitch So Sweetly dies. I turn to these time and time again. If you have not gotten these for your stash, I'm telling you, you will use these dies over and over and over. So I'm going to run this through our die cut machine. Let me do that because I've got to clear some stamps and blocks and stuff, and we'll meet right back up after I get this cut, and then we'll get this card put together and we'll be finished with this video. 2 slimline cards. Be right back. Alright, I got this cut out and it is beautiful. It looks like it's getting lost on my card. So I'm thinking I want to do maybe something in black to go behind it. So I'm going back into my Stitch So Sweetly dies, and let's see if we cut this in black, if we will get something that will make it pop a little bit. I also got out a sponge dauber because I thought maybe I need to ink around the edges, but if I can cut a piece of black, and we have a piece right here, so I'm going to run this through my die machine, and let's do that right now. I have a question for all of y'all. Are y'all messy crafters or neat crafters? The reason I say that is because when I am very neat normally, but when I'm crafting and I start pulling stuff out, my desk becomes a mess really fast. I try my best to clean up as I go, but it doesn't always work so well for me. Oh my goodness. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cut this off. There. That way I can angle this in and it won't make such a loud cracking and popping. Easier on my machine and my plates. And let's see what we have. So pretty. So now if we, so this is what we're going to run into with the slimline. We would have to go in this direction to make this work. And since I have already done my sentiment, I really wanted that to be in the portrait position. So let's see. Let's go ahead and try that other idea of sponging. So I'm going to grab a sponge dauber. And we're going to try sponging this with a little of the Momento. This right here might just be what we need without having to, and I like to leave these parts in because when you are doing your card making, sometimes you need to troubleshoot, and that's what I call this. This is troubleshooting. So, you know, we're going to try this, and if this doesn't work, then we'll revert to something else. Nope, I do not like that. So, what I'm going to do, I already have a plan. We are going to cover up our ink for this for just a minute. Put the sponge dauber, now that I have one dedicated to black, put him right here. And I'm going to grab my Stitch So Sweetly dies. And I'm going to go down one smaller and one smaller. Okay. We are going to grab a piece of white. And I'm going to use the same piece of black that I cut out so I'm not wasting. Pull our trusty little Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine back over. And what I want to do is I want to cut this piece . I am going to put a little piece of tape on these just to hold them in place. And we're going to cut this one. And I would save this because this is going to make an adorable little frame. If you ever needed a frame for a card, this would be absolutely stinking adorable. So I'm going to put that on there like that. I'm just going to run these through really quick. Now we're going to pull the smaller one out. See what I mean about that frame? You have a beautiful frame that you can use for something else. So now we're going to put this piece right here. And our message is going to go right here. So we're going to grab that stamp set again. Or that stamp. You really are fabulous. And stamp block our Momento ink. Toby. And then I'm going to stamp this right in the center. Toby. He heard me tapping my ink just now, and he thinks somebody was knocking at the door. Come here, baby. Come, Mama. Come, come. It's a sweet boy. Love it. All right. So now we are going to pop this up on Dimensionals. And yes, I think I'm going to have to break bad and grab another pack of Dimensionals. When you buy the pack of Dimensionals, I think they're $4, and you get 3 sheets. They last a good long time. Love these things. So I'm going to put one there. Here, one in the middle and 2 on this each end. Just like that. Go ahead and pull these off. And then we are going, I got a smudge of ink on that, probably off of my fingers. That's okay. We'll put a piece of bling on there to cover it up. And then for this, I'm going to glue it straight down. Then we need some jewels. So let's see. I am thinking about the black matted dots. These I think will show up really good on that, and I think they'll work really well. So I am going to take my Take Your Pick tool, and the first thing I want to do is I want to camouflage my smudge. Voila, it's gone. Don't you love it? So we're going to put one there, and then I want some sparkle. You know, y'all know that I love myself some sparkle. So I'm going to get my Rhinestone Basic Jewels, and I am going to pull just every here and there, one into the center of one of those. And I think we're going to do a couple down here. So I'm going to do 3 at the bottom and maybe 3 at the top. Now all we have to do is adhere our inside. And we can call this card done. So I am going to sit it down at the bottom, getting everything lined up. And follow it up to the top and press. And there is that card. So 2 slimline cards, a mini and a standard. One done with the dies that Stampin' Up is calling came out with in our new mini catalog January to June. So if you love these dies and that stamp set, go grab them now, because we don't know how long they're going to be there. I don't know if they'll come back in the annual catalog yet. We haven't gotten word about that, but these are fabulous. And look at this. This paper is so pretty, and what a beautiful card this one made. So when we come back, we're going to work on some envelopes, but remember that our standard one we have envelopes for. And how pretty is this card going to be in this envelope? Fits like a gem, ready to address and send off. Love, love, love it. So there is that one. And then here is this one. I hope y'all have enjoyed this, and I hope that you will try your hand at a slimline, whether you have the dies or the stamps or whatever. Give it a try. You will love how your card turns out. Thank you so much for tuning in, and as I always say in closing, let everything that you do and say bring glory to our Father in heaven. He is so worthy of all of our praise and our honor. And until we craft again, God bless and keep you. Bye-bye.